Hello, everyone. Scott Zambelli here with Odd Musings, and today I am flying solo, so pray for us. Yes, that's right. We're going solo today. As Brett and Connie, the Comic Con mom, are enjoying their time down in the blissful warmth of Florida, hitting Universal Studios and all those fun places. So, hope the best for them. So far, all the pictures he's posting has been looking very fun indeed. Definitely a little jealous. I always enjoyed going with them, getting the butterbeer, visiting the wizarding world of Harry Potter down in Universal Studios, and visiting Disney Springs and all those places. Always a great time. So have an enjoyable trip, Brett, and look forward to seeing you when you get back. But in the meantime, we've got a couple different topics we're going to cover today. First and foremost, the main topic for today is The Batman. I'm going to be giving a full spoiler review, breakdown of the entire movie. I'll give my opinion and share some thoughts. It'll be a good talk, a lot of fun. We could talk about the review of the Riddler, the new Batmobile, the new Batman, Robert Pattinson. If you listened last week, we kind of did a rough one. We went through our favorite Batmans through the years. Full disclosure, my favorite Batman of all time is actually the Arkham games, the version of Batman in there, voiced by Kevin Conroy. That's my all-time favorite Batman of any type of version that's out there. Second favorite is the Batman animated series that was out in the 90s, also voiced by Kevin Conroy. So my top two Batmen are Kevin Conroy's. Going into live action, I think it's... I really like Michael Keaton's version, but that's my personal favorite Batman. But before we get into all that, I'll give an update on our Bardstone Kickstarter and all those fun things. But first, we have to talk about our amazing sponsors. We have Loringer Family Chiropractic Center. They're located in Belleville and Dexter, Michigan. The phone numbers are up there at the top, but they really are. They give an amazing service. Brett uses them quite often, actually weekly, I believe. And he has said it before in the past. A long time ago, he had an accident and he has issues with his hip and his leg. And with his daily job that he does, he's on his feet a lot. And by the end of the week, he's definitely in need of an adjustment, and he visits them and they do a spectacular job. As far as myself goes, we've also utilized them for my daughter, Ashley, who was going through some issues, needed some chiropractic care, and Loringer really did do an amazing job. So you can visit their website for all their details, but their Belleville office is 734-697-4244, or their Dexter, Michigan office, 734-426-3994. Their website is loringerfamilychiropractic.com, and I'm going to copy that real quick and post it in the comments here. So if you want to check them out, visit their website at the posted comments. Link is in there. All right. Let's get up our other sponsor, which is yours truly. So I got to quickly navigate here. And here we go. Team Titans is real estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in the tools and technology, social media, all of those fun things that's available, to everyone. We never forget at the core, real estate is still people business. More and more people are turning to the type of business relationships where you never even meet the people. I cannot tell you how many times I've come across people where they're like, oh, I already have a realtor. And I say, oh, what's their name? I might know them. And they have a complete blank face. They have no idea even what the name of their own realtor is, or what company they work for. And it just shows how impersonal relationships can be on a business level. So much is done online. So much is done via text that it's really easy to just minimize this to being a pure transaction without personal touch. And you can definitely do real estate that way. There's, nothing wrong with it. But when you know the ins and outs of the people, when you have a relationship with that client, you know what their goals are, their time frame. you know the ins and outs of what they're looking for. You can fine tune your marketing plan to fit what they need. Because sometimes, speed is more important than money, or money could be more important than speed. And depending on what the goals are of a transaction, it can really change how you market a home. Other aspects of it is if you really know the property and the individual characteristics of that property, you'll understand who you're marketing the home to. A lot of times people don't understand when you're selling a home, there's many different audiences out there. There's investors who want to buy the house, fix it up, and flip it. There's landlords who want to buy the house, maybe do a little bit of fixing up, rent it out. There's builders who want to buy the house to tear down and rebuild. And then you have buyers. And even with buyers, you have first-time home buyers, experienced buyers, buyers who maybe have families, buyers who are downsizing, buyers who haven't been in the market for many, many years. And all of these different type of buyers are looking for different things. So understanding the market well enough to know what type of buyer is going to be perfect for your home will also help guide the marketing of that home. And that's what Jill and I do. We really custom tailor our approach and our marketing to fit you and your needs as the seller to maximize. Because if you hit the wrong buyer, here's an example, a great example I see so often, where we've had buyers who are looking for a home to buy and live in. They need a home that's move-in ready. And a listing will come up, and the listing truly is a fixer-upper. There's a lot of flaws. Things need to be updated. Carpets are in horrible shape. All kinds of stuff needs to be done with the house. But when you take the photos, when you take photos of a house to sell it, you can very easily crop pictures and focus on elements of the house to hide how much work needs to be done on the house. And you can easily present a house as pretty move-in ready, and hide all of the work that needs to be done. And then the people are surprised when they walk in because it's nowhere near the condition they thought from the pictures. And so if you misrepresent the house that way, the house looks like it's move-in ready. You're getting buyers who are looking for a move-in ready house. They come in and they're greatly disappointed and they want nothing to do with the house. And I've had it where we've walked in and it's like, oh my God, this house is nowhere near what I thought. The carpet needs to be torn up. The walls need to be repainted. They're all dinged up. But in the photos, they didn't show any of that. Meanwhile, by presenting the house that way, people who are looking for a fixer-upper, they might see those photos of the house and say, oh, I want something that isn't move-in ready, and they might pass on it. So you don't always you want to present the house in the best light possible, but for that buyer pool that's looking for that type of house. And that's what you got to understand. So, if you have if your house is truly a fixer-upper, and you don't want to put the time into fixing it up for the sellers, you got to realize your buyer pool are people who want to either update the house and live in it themselves, gain some sweat equity, or somebody who wants to flip the house. So you got to present it in that way that those buyers will be attracted to it. So that's just a small example. A lot of people also with the market analysis of their home, they want to look at online sites that will give estimates to what their home is worth. Once again, these sites are very inaccurate, very inaccurate. And the reason is it's all about the algorithm and how it works. It's just simply taking your house, doing a certain mile radius or a couple mile radius, and just grabbing similar houses with similar sizes and whatever, and coming up with an average price for your home. Here's where the problem is, especially in the Macomb and Oakland County areas where we live. You can very easily have a neighborhood of $300,000 homes, and then within a quarter mile or a mile, a new development of $800,000 homes. And it's very easy to do. Or even it could be pre-existing homes that are $700,000 homes that are 20 years old. And they could even be similar sizes, but the ages are different. But anyways, in doing this, because the neighborhood nearby is so much more expensive, it's going to cause your average to be overstated, and it's going to cause their average to be understated. So it's very easy to have it skewed. in a way that will not benefit you as the potential home seller. Whereas for us, we know those areas. We know what that neighborhood is versus your neighborhood. And sometimes even the school district. We've had it where within one subdivision, very similar houses have very different values just because one falls into a different school district than the other. And sometimes one school district may be more or less desirable than the other. So these are all factors that work into what your house is worth. And just going with a generic value from a website won't take those into account and can really, be to your not to your benefit to follow those things. So you want an actual realtor to come in, somebody with experience who can tell you a pretty solid number. We don't have crystal balls. We're telling you what the house is worth today based upon past sales. But you never know. At the end of the day, it's what is it worth to a buyer. And that's where our experience with dealing with buyers also comes in to help tell you what are current buyers looking for. When we evaluate your house and tell you what things are outdated or need updating or look great, we're not doing it as a personal judgment against you. It's telling you, based upon what buyers are saying. When we take them through homes, we're seeing firsthand their reaction to if wallpaper is on the floor, on the walls, or if cabinets are outdated and need to be updating, or a Formica countertop versus a granite countertop. We see it all the time, the firsthand reactions of buyers and what they're looking for. So we convey that to you. It's not saying, hey, this house is in horrible shape. You can have a house in wonderful shape, but if everything's outdated, that we know the typical buyer will say, well, yeah, it's in pristine condition, this carpet, but I want a new wood floor. I want those counters look great and cabinets look great, but I want shaker cabinets with a granite counter. So we can tell, even though it's in great shape, we'll be able to tell you what they're looking for. So with that said, give Jill and I a call. Our hotline number is 586-232-5144. Give us a call. The consultation is free. Doesn't cost you anything. We are definitely getting into the time of year where things are picking up. Our phones are ringing more. As spring approaches, it's not far away. It's only a few days away, actually. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. And between the start of spring and Easter, those are the 2 mile markers people tend to have in their minds for when their personal real estate season starts. So give us a call. We can get you a market analysis really quick. We can have your house listed very fast if you want to move quick. If you need more time, then we have time to give you an evaluation on what to do to increase the value, even simple things like help increase your curb appeal, minor things in the house that don't require intense cost or expense or amount of time. So give us a call. We want to take care of you. Our website, teamtitansofrealestate.com. All right. Well, thank you for listening through that. Now let me put on here our website too, just because you may want to go there. There's our teamtitansrealestate.com or all right. And I'm putting the phone number in the comments as well, so you can track us that way. All right. Let's give an update on our Bardstone, where we're going to get to the Batman soon enough. But our Bardstone Frankenstein Kickstarter is in full effect. So let's pull that up so you can see where we're at. Here we go. So we currently have 31 backers. A little over 1,500 is raised, which is awesome. We're working our ways toward the next stretch goal, which will give free rewards to anybody of $20 or more for their pledge. So it's moving along really good. This is the time period with Kickstarters. What happens is that first week, you have a massive increase in support. And then you kind of go through the death valley where it kind of levels off. And I think a big reason is a lot of the search criteria in Kickstarter is brand new Kickstarters and ones that are about to end. So those are the two bookends of the surge for where you get promoted on Kickstarter. The in-between really has to do with promoting and defeating the algorithms that are out there for Facebook and all these things. Because so often we find our exposure is very limited through the algorithm. So this is where you guys come in as the potential supporters of our project. Any amount is good. We appreciate it all, but really what we need is on this part here, down here, you can. So if you want to become a backer, say back this project, but right here, if you click on this, you can share on Facebook, Twitter, you can email, or you can copy a link. So if I click that and hit copy, I get the link, and then you can make any post you want to share the news about our Kickstarter, because this is really how we can reach the most people is it's through sharing each other's link. I'm posting it now. All right. So here we go. We're going to say chat. All right. So there goes the link. So there's the link to our Kickstarter. Copy and paste that. You can copy that whole thing and just paste it into your own social media. This will get the most viewership and potential customers to us. And here's why. Because like I said, with these rewards, I'm going to go down to the rewards. We have a number of different reward tiers, and the pricing is based on the cost. And the higher up you go, the more savings you get. Okay. And what's nice about these, though, is every time we unlock a stretch goal, additional prizes get thrown into the mix. So you might ask, well, how does that work? The more people we get and the more successful this Kickstarter is, the bigger quantities we can order of the books and bookmarks and rewards and everything. Well, the more quantity we order, the better price break we get. So the bigger price break we get, we can pass those savings on to you through adding additional free rewards to your package. So that works. So we want to maximize. Ideally, we really want to get up to 100 backers. We're at 31 backers now. According to our stats and our dashboard on this, we have about 30 backers or so, 30 potential backers who are watching this. Only 2 of them have actually backed the project. So if we get those 28 backers to join in, that'll be huge. And then if we can get another 30 to 50 backers through sharing our link, we can really unlock a lot of rewards and throw these into the packages with you, because nothing makes us happier than free rewards, right, everyone? So the link is posted. You can go there. I'll make this quick because you've heard the spiel. This is our best value here. It's $158 value for $120. And then each reward we add for free through the stretch goals only increases the value. So you get a copy of the hardcover and softcover book, the bookmarks, issues 1 through 3 of Crimson Shadows, plus the 6 metal prints that are being made available for this series. So that's a really good one. The other awesome set, this one's a really big value. We get a lot of educators who come to us who want to share these classics with their classrooms. We get a lot of requests through our Poe series that we have. So with Frankenstein being such a classic, we decided to make this available to educators as well. So what you get is it's 10 copies of the softcover book, along with 10 sets of bookmarks. So that would be for 10 students. And if you were to buy these all individually, it'd be $290. I'm offering for $130. Basically, I'm giving you the wholesale price so that you can share this with students in your class. This also applies if you're a retailer. If you're a comic book shop and you like to buy these to sell, you can buy these and sell them individually if you like. So that's what I want to point out there. Right now, for our add-ons too, we have this online store. You can write down what you want. After you go through the checkout, the add-on menu pops up and you can add all the stuff from our previous Kickstarters. There's a lot of things on there. We've grown to have quite the impressive selection for Bardstone Publishing. Then we have our stretch goals. We've already unlocked the Bardstone sticker that goes to everyone. And then we have these white vinyl stickers featuring the artwork of Kevin Miner of our Crimson Shadows characters. And as we unlock those, they will be issued. So I want to show you that. Last but not least, before we get off of this topic, what I want to show you is this. So to minimize the risks and rewards, the biggest risk right now, because with Kickstarters, there's always a risk. You never know. You never know if, the risk is, will the creator finish the project? That's the biggest risk of all. Now, Kickstarter's been around a long time, and more creators are savvy to how to do this. The bad ones, I think, have been weeded out over time, but it still happens where you pledge for a project and it just never happens. Well, we have them in hand. It's all the book. All the artwork is finished. The books are printed. I have the paper copy here, hardcover here. They turned out amazing. So the work is done. There is zero risk to you on whether or not the project will be completed. Now, usually at that point, you are almost at zero risk. Now, the other risk that comes into play with whether or not we would be on time with delivery, we set a June delivery date. The other issue is supply chains. Right now, there's a lot of supply chain backups in the industry, and things are getting delayed. So what we've done is we've moved ahead. We've done estimated orders on what we're going to need on everything, and we've already ordered them. So like I said, the books are the paper, the proof copies are in hand and all set. The regular print run is on order and should be here by the time this Kickstarter ends. And the hardcovers, they take a little longer. The hardcovers will be here no later than mid-April. So, but hopefully they'll be sooner. But either way, well before the June deadline. The other thing we've done is we've moved forward with ordering our bookmarkers. I've got them in pages now, but all three bookmarks are in hand. The white vinyl stickers are on order and should be here within a week or so. And the white metal 4x6 prints are also on order already and should be here within a couple weeks. So we'll have everything in hand. Long story short, I think everything will be shipped before May 1st. Can't guarantee it till everything's in hand, but so we're going to be well ahead of the shipping schedule. So I've minimized risk as much as possible to you, the backer, because we really appreciate the support that you guys give. So I just want to give you a quick preview. So if you don't know, the Crimson Universe, we've got 3 issues out so far. If you haven't sponsored them, those are available through the website. Here's the book. The interior of the book is the full Frankenstein novel written by Mary Shelley back in 1818. And it has 30 illustrations done by me. So I illustrate the book. I also have an original prologue and epilogue in here where our version of Dracula, which you see there, narrates and explains how the origin story, which is told in the Mary Shelley book, which is in here, is the origin story of our Frankenstein in the Crimson Shadows universe. So there's, I'll give you an example of a couple of the illustration. So they're black and white illustrations that head up each of the chapters. So here's another one. There's Victor Frankenstein just living in trauma and fear and regret. And then here's towards the end of the book, another one of the illustrations. So we have another number of illustrations all throughout. So consider being a backer. I've posted the link there. Really appreciate it. We'll double check at the end here to see if we've got any more backers. We got 14 days left to go, which means this next week is very crucial that we get the help of you guys sharing the links. We cannot tell you how important it is to have people share the links, because the more people find out about us, the better chance we have at having a really successful Kickstarter. All right. Let's get to the main topic, the Batman. Let's pull it up. All right, so last week when we talked, we just did a spoiler-free review because Brett hadn't seen it and it was still pretty new. And we felt with how big of a movie this was, we should give people time to see it. So this here is a review. I'll read this title real quick. The Batman review. Horrifying Darkest Night is barely a superhero movie. Robert Pattinson wears the bat suit in a slow-burning, intense epic that's a million miles from Marvel. So that kind of gives you this person's opinion. I will say my overall review, and then we'll break it down from there. My overall review is I will say I enjoyed it. This movie takes place in year 2 of Batman's career, so he's still, he has a year of experience under his belt, but he's still kind of new to this whole crime fighting thing. I think the movie does a good job of portraying him in that light. I think Robert Pattinson does a good job. I really do, of being Batman in this. A lot of people are talking about online who is the best Bruce Wayne. Does anyone care about Bruce Wayne? Let's be honest. Bruce Wayne is the costume. Batman is who he truly is. And they even mention that in the movie. The Riddler says that, but when we hide behind our masks, we can be our true selves. I can tell you from, I unfortunately, because of COVID in these last 2 years, I haven't had a chance to do it. But as you know, I'm a member of the 501st. I'm a stormtrooper is my usual costume, but I also have a Rebel X-wing pilot and Rebel Hoth pilot costume. There is some truth to this, and a lot of cosplayers, I think, will tell you too. When you put on the costume, there's something about when you are in your day to day, and everyone sees you. You can be very reserved and hide who you truly are. Whereas once you put the costume on, like for me, I'm more likely to go have fun. Like I'll dance with, like, we'll be at events and a kid will come up and want to dance with the stormtrooper, and we do a little dance and different things. I've been on stage with Weird Al, dancing beside Weird Al on stage. At the Detroit Tigers game, as a stormtrooper, I was pulled up to the to stand on top of the dugout for the 7th inning stretch and do the dance that they do with the Detroit Tigers cheerleaders. I've been on camera there doing a dance competition facing off against somebody else. Those were all really fun and they were all me. But if I didn't have those costumes on, and even if I was given the chance, I was given the chance because I was in Stormtrooper, but had I been given the chance to do that, I probably would have said no. I would have been reserved. I would have said, no, I can't do that. I would have been embarrassed. There's something about with your face revealed. We put on a costume when our face is real. We act more in a way we might not want to act. But once you have a full suit on, like the Stormtrooper gear, or in this case, Batman, it gives you a freedom to act in a way apart from societal expectations of you. And I think that was a great observation the Riddler makes, is he himself also acted free. Once he put on the Riddler costume, he could act the way he wanted. And he called Batman out on that as well. So, really, Bruce Wayne is the costume in this case. Much like Superman, Clark Kent is his costume. It's not who he is. He is Superman. Trying to think if there's characters who are the opposite, Peter Parker. Peter Parker is a great one because Peter Parker as Spider-Man, he is equally Peter Parker and Spider-Man, which is where the conflict comes in. He's constantly struggling where he wants to be Spider-Man, but he wants his life as Peter Parker. So in the case of Spider-Man, Peter Parker is equally important as to Spider-Man. So it's a very interesting way to go. Whereas someone like the Punisher, Frank Castle is the Punisher. Like Frank Castle doesn't become someone different when he's the Punisher, and he's the same whether he's Frank Castle or the Punisher. It doesn't matter who he is the same guy. So it's interesting how different characters, when you look at it through that lens, how it could be so true. So with Batman, Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, he comes across a little too emo, a little too depressed, um, malnourished. Um, I don't. He's okay, and where he's at in this stage of his life in year two, and how he's going through a transition as Batman. So he's fighting for vengeance in this, in which case he's more like the Punisher in a way. But there's an evolution of the character where he discovers he needs to be more than that, because fighting for vengeance is causing others to act in ways he doesn't want. So there's a transition to where he discovers he needs to be more than vengeance and to be about hope, which is a very interesting story arc for this character. In a way, it's almost an origin story within an origin story, where the Batman we come to know that it's about fighting for justice is grown out of this. So I think that part is interesting. So Robert Pattinson as Batman, I really enjoyed. I think he does a great job. And definitely does the fight scenes in a very intense way. To me, it reminiscent of the Daredevil fight scenes in, well, the Netflix series now on Disney Plus, but the Daredevil season 1 fights that were occurring, very reminiscent of that. It had that feel, I felt. So I definitely approve of him as Batman. My hope was this Batman, the tone and feel of this definitely would work perfectly with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. And my hope is this would evolve into maybe that, where they combine the two. Now, there is a scene at the end, like I said, this is all spoilers, so I can say it, at the end where the Riddler is in jail, and it looks like that's the Joker he's talking to. They didn't actually say that. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Hey, Kevin, if you want to join in on the talk, just let me know. I'll send you the link. I know you're at work, so I'm not sure if you can or not. But if you want to join in, Kevin saw the Batman movie as well. So good to have you on board here, Kevin. So I really like this version. Now, as a grounded superhero movie, I think they did a great job. The issue I have, though, is, and this is the same issue I have with the Christian Bale Batman, is I think they go too grounded. Because the reality, we as fans know, Batman is part of a larger universe that does have superheroes. And it's a reality. You know, it's a world with Superman and the Flash and, you know, Aquaman, all these things. The way they portray this, I don't know how you would work them in. I don't know if a Superman could work in this world. Maybe. You never know. But I just feel like I like to have a little bit more fantasy in mind, which is why I think the Arkham Asylum games is the perfect blend of fantasy with realism. I mean, it's a CGI, so I know it's not real, but I mean, they make the suit very practical, the armor practical, like all these things are practical things, but it's in a world that's exaggerated. So with that said, overall, I really like Pattinson as Batman. Now, was the portrayal such that I'm dying for a sequel? No. If they do a sequel, I will gladly go see it. But if they didn't do a sequel and just left it at this, I'd be fine with that as well. Either way, I can take it or leave it. As those of you know, I'm a Marvel fan, first and foremost. Why am I more of a Marvel fan than DC fan? The reason is the worlds that they portray. You know, these dark, gritty worlds they do for DC, they're all well and good, but the problem is they give you a fallen and broken world, but then they have fallen and broken heroes too. And it's a world you would never want to live in. Whereas Marvel, it's a hopeful world that there's bad things happening, but like Captain America will rise above what's happening and try to pull people up to his level instead of sinking down to the level of the fallen world. And I think the world of Marvel is a world that allows for hope. Now they do touch on that at the end of this, where when Batman realizes he needs to be a symbol for hope. So I wouldn't mind if they went that direction at all. But So for me, the Marvel films tend to speak to me better than the DC films. With that said, comparing this to the other versions, other movies, I personally like this better than the Christian Bale movies. I think the Nolan movies are greatly overrated. I think a lot of people allow the amazing performance of Heath Ledger as the Joker to kind of override all of the flaws of the Batman of the Nolan verse. There's a lot of things that are not that great, to be honest, about the Nolan verse. There's a lot of things that are great. Don't get me wrong, but I really think you take Heath Ledger out of the mix, and it's a far different universe there. Heath Ledger just was legendary in how he handled the Joker. So I just think they're overrated, and people's love of Heath Ledger's Joker override. I think it skews people's memories of the actual movies. So for me, this was better than the Nolan films, and a version I would much rather see than the Nolan films. Now, with that said, for me, and maybe it's my age, I really like the Michael Keaton better. I think Michael Keaton's version is better. Once again, Tim Burton's vision of Gotham and the characters, he gave enough of that twisted fantasy into that world to really, to me, make it a comic book movie, a comic book hero. And in his world, a character like Superman can exist much more easily because it's a little bit, twist on reality. So now another character in this film is Catwoman. I have to say, I enjoyed the portrayal of Catwoman here far better than the Halle Berry version. I did like her better than the Nolan version as well with, oh God, I'm blanking. I know her name. I blanked all of a sudden. But anyways, I really liked her version of Catwoman. I didn't mind it at all. And I would be glad to see her as Catwoman again. I think she did a very good job of doing that. Let's see here. Another character in the movies. Let's scroll down. Let's see what they have here. So here you see Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman talking to Batman. Let's see here. Oh, one of the things I really loved about this is they really made it more of a detective movie. I did like that. Thank you, Anne Hathaway. Yes, I didn't mind her, but so for me, my all-time favorite Catwoman is Michelle Pfeiffer, without a doubt. She's the best Catwoman in my book. Next, you got, I think Zoe Kravitz is on par with, it's so hard to compare, but the Adam West Batmans in the 60s, their portrayal of Catwoman in there was great. It's a very campy take, and it's hard to do apples to apples comparison of the two because they're so different. But I really think the Catwomen, there's two Catwomen in the Adam West series. I think both of them were just as good as Zoe Kravitz, and I put them all on equal par. After that would be probably Anne Hathaway, and then after that would be Halle Berry. But Eartha Kitt is definitely, she's one of the two, and I'm blanking on the other Catwoman. Let's see, Adam West Batman Catwoman. I'm blanking on the other one's name. I really like. Let's see. I'm blanking on her name. Where is she? Julie Newmar. I don't know how I forgot that. Julie Newmar was my personal favorite. Then we got Eartha Kitt and Zoe Kravitz, I think, are a very close second. Then, but Michelle Pfeiffer is my first. Blanked on her. So you guys know the list, but there you go. Thank you, Kevin. Julie Newmar. All right, so back to this. I love that they made this a detective movie. They had to solve riddles and stuff because he's following the Riddler. I've said for a long time, my personal take on the Riddler is that Joker was always put in the limelight all the time. He's always the go-to. And I always said they need to make Riddler the main antagonist, and really focus on how he is like a serial killer, because he's just like in real life serial killers, they like to leave clues and taunt, whether it's Jack the Ripper, the Zodiac killer, and a number of others. They they get bored and they want to show off their intellect. They want to be caught but not caught. They want to get credit for what they're doing because they really are prideful of how smart they are. So they start playing games with the police, leaving clues because that gives them the thrill. So I've always said the Riddler should be portrayed as a serial killer, and his riddles are really that form of communication between the police or Batman and himself to play this game. And I thought they did a good job of that. So I was very happy in the direction this went. The riddles, these riddles are they're not as campy as the old, Batman series. My favorite was what's in a tree and is dangerous, and Robin's like, I know, a sparrow with a machine gun. Like, who would come up with that as an answer? But they had real riddles in these, and Batman was able to solve them. But the part that annoyed me, though, is the one riddle is it's a rodent with wings. And the whole film, Batman can't figure out that the answer is a bat. It's like, come on, you solved all the other riddles. Hello, a rodent with wings. That's a bat. And he's like, could be a hawk. Could be. He's coming up with like all of these different answers other than a bat. So I thought that was a little foolish. I think Batman would figure out that he's talking about a bat, but that's besides the point. But I really enjoyed it. And their take on it. Here you see Batman as Bruce Wayne. Once again, he just kind of, on one hand, I can totally get this portrayal. It's just not how, for me, my version of Bruce Wayne that I would do. But it works. It fits the tone of the whole thing. He's definitely obsessed with his job, and I could see him being this way. So I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite portrayal as Bruce Wayne. Getting back on the Riddler here, and the portrayal of the Riddler, for me, it's my only complaint, and it's not a huge complaint, is the costume. To me, it just didn't look like a Riddler costume. And I'm not saying it had to be campy or cartoony, but I felt like I don't know, something about it just didn't fit. One cool little touch was the glasses he was wearing was actually the same pair of glasses that the Riddler wore in the Jim Carrey version of the Riddler. So they kind of brought that over as kind of an Easter egg. That was cool. Now with this whole thing, it's I'll get to the ending in a little bit, but the portrayal of the Riddler overall, I liked. Something about his look, it just felt like a different character to me. With that said, though, the way he acted, I think was spot on. I think it totally worked as the Riddler. So I would just personally would have rathered a different costume of some sort. I don't know what. I wouldn't want, with the tone of this world, I wouldn't go as campy as the Jim Carrey one or the Adam West ones. I think that's too far in the other direction. But I think some sort of suit or something would have worked well, but we'll see. But overall, I like the Riddler and the direction that he went. I think they could have done more with the character himself. My understanding of him and my experience with him is he's almost, you got the Edward Nygma character, which is his true identity. And then you have him as the Riddler. And I've always felt like there was some kind of struggle back and forth between the two identities. I don't know. I'm not as deep as other people on this, so I could be wrong, but I've always felt there was kind of almost like a somewhat of a split personality. They didn't cover that in here. So I would have liked if they kind of had that little touch to it, maybe. But they didn't, which is fine. Last but not least, the Penguin. Oh my God, the Penguin. This is amazing. Colin Farrell is the Penguin. Let me pull him up. Let's see. Because you gotta see Colin Farrell. Let's pull up a picture of them side by side so you know who I'm talking about. Um, let's find a good picture of him. They did such an amazing job with the makeup, and you just really. Uh, Riddler's name is Edward Nigma. Let me see if I'm. I think it's Edward E. Nigma. It's Edward E. Nigma because enigma is like a riddle. So Edward E. Nigma. All right. So Colin Farrell. Let's get there. Let's remove this and share this. All right. So Colin Farrell plays the Penguin in this. And if you know who Colin Farrell is, there is no way you would ever guess that that was him. He shared an interesting story. He said when he first got put in the makeup and the costume and all that, he started walking around the set and no one had any clue who he was. And he went out to eat. Even regular people seeing him didn't notice it was makeup on him. And when he came back to the set, when the director saw him, he thought he was just some random guy and tried to have him kicked off the set. So, even in real life, he was fooling people in this costume, and it's quite amazing, honestly, that this was him. From what I'm reading, HBO Max has signed on to do a Riddler series or a Penguin series on HBO Max. So that will be interesting. And then the hard part is, though, will Robert Pattinson be in it as Batman at all? Because whenever you try to do a Batman character without Batman, it doesn't do as well. So it'll be curious to see, because if you do take Batman out, what do? Are you going to grow the world with other heroes that make guest appearances or what? Like, who knows? But at the end of the day, it comes down to story and do they do a good job? But if they do a Penguin series, I hope it does act as maybe a bridge between this last Batman film and the next one. They could get into the Riddler and the Joker. They're in prison at the end of this movie. Could be he breaks them out or gets them out or who knows what. And it could act as a setup for the whatever the next Batman movie is. I assume they're doing a sequel. We'll see. So, but yeah, that makeup job is just amazing, and you would never know. The last person who really pulled something like that off that I can think of was Tom Cruise as what was his name in Tropic Thunder? Les Grossman or something like that, where you wouldn't even know it was him. So they did a phenomenal job on that. Regarding the action in this movie, the fight scenes were very well choreographed. I felt they did a wonderful job. And the chase scene, the Batmobile, was really good. So they did a wonderful job with that as well. So I really enjoyed that car chase scene. That was really good. Well done. And then let's get to the ending. So my biggest criticism of this film is the let me get the screen back up. So this is a 3-hour long movie. And my biggest complaint is not that it's 3 hours, because there's a lot of 3-hour films I really love, but I felt the ending dragged. The last half hour, the way they did it, I would have changed personally. And I think it would have been a great cliffhanger to lead into whatever the second film is. So you get into the final battle in the Madison Square Gardens, Gotham Square Gardens, whatever they called it. And I just felt like at the point that the Riddler was caught, he ends up in jail. That's where we see that the Joker is in jail. They're talking. But then we learn that there's a bigger plan at play. Then he goes to Madison Square Gardens. He does this big fight sequence with all these other people dressed as the Riddler. They're all dressed the same, almost like We Are Legion type thing. And he fights all them. And then there's this scene where, because of this flood that's occurring, he rescues all these people are trapped in the floodwaters, and they're behind all this debris. And it's so funny. There's just like this one metal thing, and Batman just moves the one thing, and then they can all get out. So I thought that was silly. Like, it was just one piece of metal that he didn't have to do anything special or creative or intellectual to save these people. He just had to move this one piece of metal, which honestly, any of them that were trapped could have moved. But anyways, he does that, and then there's this whole sequence of him holding this red flare above his head as he guides everyone out into safety. It was over the top for me. I felt that was kind of stupid. If anything, I think that would have been a great thing for them to have Commissioner Gordon do to save everyone, to help promote him up to, I don't think he was commissioner yet in this movie. So that would have been a great thing for him to build up the rapport with the civilians, have Commissioner Gordon rescue the people, and gain all that goodwill to be promoted into the commissioner spot. And Batman, I feel, should still remain more in the shadows. He's not Superman where he's out front. He's in the shadows. So that part I thought was a little, I take it or leave it. And then the extended sequence with Catwoman at the end, I didn't care for, with the whole slow driving of their motorcycles and looking at each other for 3 minutes in the rearview mirror. That could have been cut. So anyways, for me, the ending I think I would have preferred is the moment Riddler's in jail. Since there's all these other people dressed as the Riddler should have left it as an open-ended thing where Batman doesn't even know if he caught the Riddler or one of the decoys. I think that would have been more of a cliffhanger. And with all of these bombs set up, Batman could still go stop the bombs, right? Or well, they went off and the flood happened. He could have still fought all these people, and Commissioner Gordon could have saved those people. But I think it would have been better to end on a cliffhanger where we, the viewer, don't know if did he actually catch the Riddler or not, or is the Riddler still out there? So I think that would have been a better ending personally, and it would have cut like 20 or 30 minutes off the ending. So that's my only criticism, is the ending. But the first 2.5 hours, I really found myself enjoying and thinking, wow, this is better than I thought it was going to be. So there's my review. That's my full talk on it. Hope you guys like it. That's my 2 cents. So last but not least, let's just do one last look at the Kickstarter. Let's go back to this Kickstarter screen and just remind everyone where to go. All right. So once again, our Kickstarter, we're at 31 backers, just over $1,500. We're working towards our next stretch goal. So please don't forget, share the links, invite friends to check us out. We really do put out a quality product. We get a lot of repeat customers. People like what we're putting out. And I think you'll like it too. So give it a shot. Go to Kickstarter, look up Frankenstein. That image, that red and black and white image, that will pop up as the image for the entire campaign. Click on that. Or go to bardstone.com, click on the Kickstarter tab, and links will be there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for checking in. And Brett will be back next week, where we will talk more Odd Musings.